Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we'll be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, texts 9 and 10. Text 9. Suhrun mitrari udasina madhyastha dveshya bandhushu sadhushvapi cha papeshu samabuddhir visishyate. Text 10. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekakiyata chittatma nirashir aparigraha. So Krishna here continues to explain the qualities of a yogi who is advanced. One who is advanced, he will act equally for all these people. Suhrun, Mitra, Ari, a well-wisher, a friend, enemy, envious, pious, the sinners, those who are indifferent and impartial people, all of these people, samabuddhir visishyate. He will have an equal mind. He will see with an equal mind. So one time I was distributing books, Srila Prabhupada's books, and one Westerner came and he was looking at our attires and our chanting and all that. So he said, "Are you a yogi?" I said, "Yeah, you can consider me a yogi." And then he said, "Yogi means, can you explain what a yogi does or what are some of his symptoms?" And then I picked out the book and I opened these two verses and I explained, see, a yogi means he's equanimous. He sees everybody not as a friend or an enemy or my man, your man. He will see everybody with an equal mindset, whether it is friends or enemies or neutrals or one who is hating you. And then he said, "Oh, is it like Jesus Christ?" I said, "Yes." And so he said, "How do you achieve like that? It's very difficult to be like that. How do you not hate anybody, even if somebody is hurting you, even if somebody is scheming? How do you achieve that situation?" I said, "That is explained in the next verse." And what it is? Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitaha. A yogi, by dint of his satatam yunjita, always he is engaged in Krishna consciousness, God consciousness. And further, rahasi sthitaha, he lives in a secluded place. And ekaki yata chittatma, he always controls his mind. And nirashi, he is free from desires and aparigraha, feelings of possessiveness. And he was a little bit taken aback. Oh, so if you are a yogi, that means you should be following all of this. Do you work? He asked me. I said, yes, I do work apart from doing this. So if you are working, how can you always be in God consciousness? And how can you live in a secluded place? You are not living in a secluded place. You're not going to some mountains or forest. You're very much like me. Then how you are a yogi, how you are following all this? So I asked him a question. So you see this fish. The fish lives in the water, isn't it? The fish, for the fish, it does everything in the water. Naturally, it does everything in the water, and that is its natural state. It doesn't have to do anything extraneous and extraordinary to live in the water. In fact, For the fish to live outside the water, it has to do something extraordinary and extraneous. So, living in the water comes naturally for a fish. So, actually, we are spirit souls, originally God conscious. That God means Krishna. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, not sectarian personality, all attractive personality, attractive to every spirit soul, not just based on their bodies. And we are originally all God conscious, Krishna conscious, and that comes naturally, just like the fish lives in the water, but we have forgotten about it. So we don't have to do anything extraneous. Once you practice this Krishna consciousness, everything that you do, whether you are working outside, whether you are earning, whether you are talking with your family, whether you are doing any activity, just like the fish, it is the background of the fish is water. It is a happy state for the fish. So in your background, you know that every activity, Krishna is there in the background. Why are you working? To give Krishna, because I have been employed by Krishna in this work. So the actual profit goes to Krishna, and Krishna takes care of me by giving whatever is needed for me. This is your background thinking. Why are you eating? Because this body needs sustenance, and moreover, our eating also is a pleasure. We supply Krishna nice eatables, and Krishna enjoys, and the remnants we eat. Why are you distributing books? To give pleasure to Krishna. Why are you raising children? To make them devotees and give them nice Krishna conscious principles. So, like that, every activity, there is a background, there is a purpose. Just like the fish, the background of the fish's existence is water. So, I told him that there is nothing extraneous you have to do, that comes naturally for everyone to become Krishna conscious or God conscious. And then he asked how you are saying staying in a secluded place. Okay, you are saying always in Krishna consciousness. How you are in secluded place? It says this verse talks about secluded place. Then I explained him what Prabhupada essentially explains in several places, that seclusion, when the scriptures talk about seclusion, when Bhagavad Gita talks about seclusion, it is about seclusion from worldly minded people, not associating and not getting contaminated from worldly minded people. Why people go to forest? To not associate with worldly minded people. But because in this age it is not possible for the mass of people to do that, when you associate with devotees, when you live in the association of devotees, when you go to the temple, when you always are focused on Krishna, that is also seclusion. You can be like, there are embassies. USA has embassies in different countries. So these embassy people who are in these embassies, they don't come under the purview of the foreign country. They come under the purview of USA. Any citizen in the foreign country, if they enter the embassy, nobody, the foreign country cannot touch. They are under the purview of the USA. So likewise, while remaining in Krishna conscious atmosphere, whether it is temple or in a group of association of devotees, that is a transcendental state where you are remaining in seclusion from the worldly minded people. So, in other words, this process of Krishna consciousness, which is practical in this age, which can be practiced by everyone who doesn't need to, by which one does not need to go to any mountains or forests or give up artificially anything. We can continue to have our family and friends, but have that background. Whatever we are doing, the purpose is there is Krishna. He was quite impressed. He took the book. So anybody has to be impressed. This is the rich philosophy of Krishna consciousness. When one sees like Yogi Yunjita Satatam, a transcendentalist should always try to concentrate his mind on the Supreme Self. It seems quite daunting. Oh, how I have to, it's very difficult. I have to sit and meditate on Krishna always. No, Arjuna did not sit and meditate on Krishna always, even though we are given the practice of chanting Hare Krishna mantra. And for those who are serious, 2 hours are prescribed to control our mind, to get the mind to acquire the taste for Krishna consciousness, the name of Krishna. But once you come to that state, then, like just like Arjuna, it becomes quite natural. Always thinking of Krishna. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yudhyacha. Right now, our mind, if you analyze a conditioned soul, the mind is always pulled in different directions. Sometimes we are thinking what I will eat today, what I will watch today, what I will shop today, what I will work today. So our mind is always going from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other, because we have not practiced to focus on one thing at a time. I mean, one thing all the time. Because the mind is always looking for happiness, keeps jumping. Oh, this is not happy. Let me jump onto the other thought. This is not giving me happiness. Let me jump onto the other thought. Or other activity. It's just like a man sitting and watching the television and flipping the channels. This is boring. Same thing. Let me go to the other channel. Something exciting must be happening in other stream. Let me go to Netflix or Prime or whatever number of things are there today. Because the mind is never happier. And a conditioned soul does not know that the happy state is constantly in Krishna consciousness. Only Krishna consciousness can make the mind peaceful, happy, and satisfied. Bhavantameva nirantara prashanta nissesha manoradhantara kadahamaikântika nitya kinkara praharshayishyami sanadha jivitam. So Yamunacharya prays like that. Bhavantameva anucharan nirantaraha. By always following you, by always thinking about you as the master and myself as the servant, it is the happy state of the mind. Prashanta nissesha manoradhantara. So when can I always live like that, thinking myself to be your eternal servant and be joyous and excited about that? Kadaham aikantika nitya kinkaraha praharshayishyami. When can I enjoy like that? He's saying, sanadha jivitam. So it is quite natural for a spirit soul, but we have been a conditioned soul. The moment it comes to this world, we are enamored, we are deviated by our parents, relatives, society. That is why the Shastra says, Gurur na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na tatsyan na patischa sasyat, Namochayetyah samupeta mrutyam. One who is a parent or a guardian or a relative or a guru, they have a very great responsibility, or the king, society, elders. You have to guide those subjects to God consciousness, having come to this material life. But unfortunately, for lack of spiritual guidance, people consider this Maya Sukha as everything, even though they are struggling. If you see everybody in this world, they're all undergoing these three miseries: Adhyatmik, Adibhautik, Adidaivik. Nobody is free. Everybody has some problem or the other, either physical, mental, or given by nature. But instead of trying to find eternal solution, they try to do a bandage. By the evening, oh, let me go enjoy TV, watching TV, some serial or some movie or some, let me go enjoy the party with somebody. So all these kind of bandages. The misery is there. Misery is not going away. We are not doing anything about it. Maya means just band-aid, temporary band-aid. The misery will come back. But Krishna consciousness means permanent solution. We are targeting the root of the disease, which is our idea. The root of the disease is our idea that we can become happy eternally in this world with sense gratification. This is our illusory root disease that we need to eradicate. At least theoretically, we need to understand that by sense gratification, we can never be happy. It is only a band aid, illusory band aid. It is not going to give us happiness. It is going to only mask the suffering for some time being. So Prabhupada talks about in this verse, yogi yunjita satatam. So your yogi has to be always in Krishna consciousness, yunjita satatam. And sometimes the yogis, there are three classifications of yogis. The best is those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness. The second best is those who are engaged in thinking of Paramatma in the heart. And the next best is those who are thinking about Brahman, impersonal Brahman. All of these are yogis, meaning they are trying to connect to God, but for want of higher knowledge of God as Krishna, they are trying to connect to a lower feature of God as Paramatma in the heart or as an impersonal Brahman. But all are considered as transcendentalists. So Prabhupada says this, thus the impersonalist and the meditator are also indirectly Krishna conscious. Indirectly Krishna conscious. But a directly Krishna conscious person is the topmost transcendentalist because such a devotee knows what is meant by Brahman or Paramatma. So if you are already Krishna conscious, you already know who is Paramatma, what is Brahman. Because Krishna only expands as Paramatma and Krishna's bodily effulgence is only Brahman. So his knowledge of the absolute truth is perfect, whereas the impersonalist and the meditative yogi are imperfectly Krishna conscious. See, all these shlokas in 6th chapter is meant for those, as Krishna explained at the end of the 5th chapter, how one can attain to the gradual progressive stages of spiritual realization by this method of yoga. It is also applicable when one practices Krishna consciousness, also he will go through these stages. It's not that only a yogi will go through these stages. That is why in every purport Prabhupada mentions, if you practice Krishna consciousness, you already attain all these things. If you practice Krishna consciousness, you satisfy all these things like seclusion I mentioned. A Krishna conscious person is supposed to be secluded from worldly mindedness. And the other thing it is mentioned is nirashihi aparigraha. Nirashi means not uh, very little chance for material possessiveness. Prabhupada quotes this shloka from Rupa Goswami. अनासक्तस्य विषयान् यथार्हम् उपयुञ्जतः निर्बन्धः कृष्ण संबंधे युक्तं वैराग्यम् उच्यते प्रापंचिकतया बुद्ध्या हरि संबंधी वस्तुनः मुमुक्षुभिः परित्यागो वैराग्यं फल्गु कथ्यते. So a Krishna conscious person knows that everything belongs to Krishna. So he is always free from feelings of personal possession. He has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. So, a pure devotee, it's not that a pure devotee is aloof from all kinds of things in this world. A pure devotee involves with everything but for Krishna. Like Prabhupada, a typical sannyasi or a yogi will not touch anything material. But Prabhupada showed, our Goswamis showed how to deal with money as well. Because money belongs to Krishna. You can deal with money, but not for your personal self, but for Krishna. So Prabhupada would accept all donations. In fact, he would send his disciples. Our method is to go and collect not for enjoying, but to liberate them so that they can contribute for Krishna. That purifies them. And when their money is used for service of Krishna, they are getting the benefit. So we are not attached to the money, but we have to use that money appropriately. Yadharham upayunjataha. We cannot run away from money. We cannot run away from this world. Everything has its use for Krishna. We just have to know the art of how to use it for Krishna. This is called yuktam vairagyam uchyate. If one renounces artificially, that is phalgu vairagya. It is not correct renunciation because it doesn't belong to you in the first place. What do you mean by renunciation? So a devotee deals with the world. A devotee also, on behalf of Krishna, he will get encouraged or discouraged. Like one time, Prabhupada, he, when we got the land in Juhu in Bombay, he wanted to start raising funds to build the temple for Krishna, Sri Sri Radha Ras Bihari. So he said to his friend, Dr. C.P. Patel, now we want to begin collection for the construction. And Dr. Patel replied, Swamiji, people won't give. And Prabhupada countered, see, Bombay is such a rich city that if people of Bombay wanted, they could give the entire amount in one day. And Dr. Patel replied, no, they don't want. You have to bring the money from America. And Prabhupada responded, no, I could bring the money from America, but then what is your credit? And then Dr. Patel said, no, Prabhupada, I don't want to discourage you. And Prabhupada interjected, saying, no, but you are discouraging. So a devotee also could become discouraged, but not for his personal self, but for Krishna. He can also appear to be possessive, not for his self, but for Krishna. Like Krishna asked Yudhishthira, no, you have to fight and win. Yudhishthira himself was completely disconnected. He asked Arjuna, you have to scheme, you have to kill, you have to do all these things. By himself, Arjuna could not have done. But it is for Krishna. He became attached to Krishna's desires. If Krishna is pleased, the devotee is pleased. If Krishna is displeased, the devotee is displeased. So every feeling we have, every quality we have, it is just that we have to dovetail in connection with Krishna. So we can exhibit all the qualities, attachment, detachment, but for Krishna. Then we become transcendental. So that's what this shloka says. That a Krishna conscious person automatically satisfies all these things. Rahasi sthitaha, secluded place, ekaki yata chittatma, always controlling his mind because he's only satisfying Krishna. So where is the point? He's always engaged for Krishna. There is no time where he is engaged for his sense gratification. Automatically yata chittatma, nirashihi. He by himself he does not have any attraction to anything else, sense desires, and aparigraha, free from possessiveness, because he is thinking everything is Krishna's. But if you are a yogi, not Krishna conscious, you have to follow all these things, very difficult. But it comes naturally for a Krishna conscious person. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sagar Pranam, all dear restricted levels. Please
Hare
accept
Krishna.
the presence. Thank you, Prabhuji, again for the nectarian class. It made me think. You mentioned in one of the example regarding the fish, how it is its nature. So, like that, even if we think that it is our nature, um, for some reason we were here still, right? So, before coming here, uh, are we? Did we already um, realized Krishna and had been in Krishna conscious, and then for some reason we fell down, or what is it that we are here?
Yeah,
If it is our true nature, why are we not getting it?
yeah. So Prabhupada says in several places, in several letters, that we were originally with Krishna, but we wanted to showcase our independence because as a jiva we are independent. So without free will and independence, there is no meaning to jiva and love. We are made with independence. We are made with free will. When we exercise or misuse our free will to be away from Krishna and to be like Krishna, Krishna sends us to this world. Despite his pleading us, we ask to be sent here. So we come here and get enamored by this material contamination, and that contamination deepens, and we forget Krishna.
So all souls are in Goloka before coming here?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
correct.
Krishna.
That's why Prabhupada says going back to Godhead. He does not say going to Godhead. Always he says back to Godhead. Back means where? Where we came from. That is why we go back.
Hmm.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.